Hello everyone and welcome back to Third Element Chain Tutorials. In this lecture we will explore the creative process of digital scrapbooking, which is the practice of combining photos, memorabilia, and stories in a scrapbook album. The digital way of scrapbooking involves the use of computer and graphic software to create visual effects for the purpose of preserving a memory. Digital scrapbookers use digital photos, papers, clip arts, graphic textures, journal notes, and various photo objects and putting them together to create a composition. For me, after a dedicated and lengthy search, I captured, collected materials, and put a scrapbooking story together. First thing inside Photoshop is to go to the File menu and create a new file. Now for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to keep things a bit small. So for width, I'm going to use 900 pixels and for height 600 pixels. But use higher settings when bringing your own photographs and scans. Click OK, and then go ahead and save this file inside the scrapbooking folder and give it a name of scrapbooking. Click Save, and then I'm going to zoom in 100%. So I'm going to double click on the zoom tool. Then I'm going to create a new layer, which I'm going to fill this with a dark color. So click on the foreground color here to bring up the color picker, and randomly just click and drag till you find a dark color, like so. Click OK. And a couple of ways to fill this layer with a foreground color. You can either go to the Edit menu, choose Fill, and from the drop-down menu use foreground color and click OK. Or you can just undo this and use your keyboard shortcut Alt Delete Option Delete on the Mac. In this case for me it's Alt Delete, and that fills the layer with the foreground color. Then save this, Control S to save, Command S to save, and click OK. Next, go up to the File menu and inside the scrapbooking folder open up the book file. Now the goal here is to extract the book from its background. So I'm going to do this using the Quick Selection tool. Now before I start using the tool, just make sure up in the options bar this Auto Enhanced option is checked, which enables the tool to generate better quality edges. Otherwise your selections might be a bit rough. So now click and drag, or just click, 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 click and drag, and add a general selection on the book, like so. Okay, now we need to target the book and not the background, so we're going to inverse our selection. Go up to the Select menu and select Inverse. And as you can see, we need to add a bit more to our selection, so continue using the same tool, click and drag. And it's okay if you go outside the boundaries of the book. We're going to remove this extra selection anyway. So again, continue using the same tool, click and drag, a little bit here too. And now let's remove this extra selection. So hold down the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac and click and drag. And remove this extra selection, like so. Okay. We got the general selection around the book. Now the next thing we need to do is we're going to go to this Refine Edge command in the options bar so we can improve the quality of selection edges. So click on that. And the first option we see here is the View mode. Now the View mode allows us to see the final selection in different ways. So click on the pop-up menu and choose a mode to change how the selection is displayed. For example, if you choose black, you're going to see the book against the black background. If you choose white, you're going to see the book against the white background. I personally prefer to start off with the black and white option because this way we can see the layer mask itself and we can see what's happening on the edges. Speaking about the edges, let's go ahead and adjust our edges. So the first choice I have here is the smooth option. So just pay attention to what's happening right here. I'm going to smooth my edges a bit. Okay, this is what happened. I'll do it one more time. It's before and after. Okay, I'm going to skip the feather option. I'm going to go to contrast, and this contrast option is going to tighten up some of the edges. So increase that a bit, let's say 20-something%. Again, pay attention to what's happening here. I'm going to do this one more time. So that's before and after. Okay. Now the last option here is the shift edge. Shift edge allows us to contract or expand the selection. Dragging to the left is going to contract our selection. Dragging to the right is going to expand our selection. So probably the next logical question would be, well, how much am I contracting or expanding? So in order for you to see this visually, go back to this view mode, click on the pop-up menu, and then for the option here, select the overlay. Alright, let's zoom in a bit. There you go. And let's contract our selection a bit. Now, notice this pink edge. This pink edge is tracing into the book by 23%. So this is how much we are losing. We are cutting off 23% inside the book. And if you're okay with that, then go ahead and use that option. So let's see what's happening around the book. And I'm okay with that 23% cutting off. So I'm going to double click on the zoom tool. And the last option we have here is to decide about the output of our selection. And the best way to do that is to have Photoshop convert the selection into a layer mask, so that we are not actually deleting any pixels from the original image. So the output to, click on the drop down menu and select layer mask and click OK. Now we're going to target the layer mask itself right here, so click on the layer mask. So we can hide some pixels and further clean up the book. So what you need to do is, you need to go up to your toolbar right here and select the brush or press B on your keyboard. Go up to the options bar to adjust the settings of the brush. So first, make sure you have a hard brush, and I'm using 100%. Then for the mode, make sure it's normal and opacity 100%. Also press the letter D on your keyboard to make sure that you have the default colors, and we have white and black. And if you want to size up the brush, just tap the right bracket key on your keyboard, and if you want to reduce the size of the brush, tap the left bracket key on your keyboard. Okay? Alright, now let's go ahead and start hiding some of these pixels. And the way it works is this: using the brush and painting with black is going to hide the pixels. Using your brush painting with white is going to reveal the pixels. So in this case, over here for example, we want to hide some pixels. So I'm going to swap my colors, and instead of white for foreground, I'm going to have black. So press X, the letter X on your keyboard to swap the colors. And let's zoom in a bit. B for the brush, reduce the size of the brush, so tap the left bracket key, like so, and start painting with black. Again, black will hide pixels. Continue doing this, like so. Okay, now I guess we can go even further in, so let's do that. Now, if you wonder what happens if you made a mistake, and let's say you did something like this, well, because this is non-destructive, what you do is you're going to press X on your keyboard and then start painting with white. Again, white reveals back again, reveals the pixels you just hid before. Okay, so keep that in mind. Press X to start painting with black and hide pixels. Okay, something like that. Again, you can always come back to it. This is non-destructive. Okay, let's see, let me zoom out for a second. And I guess I need to do a little better job here, so I'm going to press B for my keyboard again, and then press X. I'm going to start painting with white and bring some of this back, maybe here, like so. There you go. Press X now to clean this up. Size down the brush. Let's zoom out here. Alright, now I need to work on this top side here, so press B again and let's zoom. Increase the size of your brush, so tap the right bracket key and make sure you paint with black to hide the pixels, like so. Okay. Okay, let's see what's happening on the side here. There we go. Press X to see what's happening on the corner. I want to bring some of these pixels back. Alright. And I think the rest looks to be okay. And then again, if you want to bring some of this back or whatever you decide to do so, you can do this anytime. Oops, undo this. There you go. That's the beauty of working with layer masks. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to move this file inside this scrapbooking PSD file. So the way you're going to do this is you're going to be working with the move tool. You're going to click, drag up, hover over this scrapbooking PSD, hold down the shift key and release the mouse. And this way we can just drop this book right in the middle. Let me undo this for a second. Let me go back to the book. Let me do the same thing exactly, but this time without holding the shift key. So click, drag up, hover over the scrapbooking PSD and just release the mouse, let's say here. You see? So if you want to place this right in the middle, just make sure as you do that you hold down the shift key. So I'll do it one more time. Click, drag up, hover over the scrapbooking PSD, hold down the shift key and release the mouse. Okay. You don't need this any file anymore, so don't save that. Maybe I can improve a bit here. So again, make sure you're on the mask. B for brush. Make sure you have a black. And start hiding more pixels. Okay. Okay. Actually, I think to bring some of them back instead of hiding them. So press B, swap my colors. Here I went a bit too far, it's okay. Let's zoom in. Zoom out, and let's say we like what we see here. So rename this layer and give it a name of book. Also add a drop shadow. Go to the layer menu, layer style, drop shadow. And actually you can do this interactively, so just place your mouse anywhere, just you can drag. Okay, now just make sure you have use global light unchecked. Bring down the distance, just a small drop shadow and something like that. But we'll probably go back and change the settings anyway. So also make sure you have opacity 100. Click OK. And Control S to save, Command S to save with the Mac. Now let's add another element to our composition. So go to the File menu and inside the Scrapbooking folder, open up the World War II Vintage envelope file. Now again, we need to extract the envelope from its background. And this time, instead of using the Quick Selection tool, I'm just going to use the Magic Wand tool. I'm using tolerance 32. Click once. Now we need to target the envelope. So go to the select menu, and inverse the selection. We're going to use the refine edge command again. So click on that, and we're going to use similar settings. So I'm going to smooth out the edges a bit. I'm going to up the contrast, and I'm going to contract the selection a bit, like so. And then for the output, I'm just going to keep it to default, which is the selection. Click OK. Then go to the edit menu, cut the selection, go back to the scrapbooking file, and then edit and paste that. Okay, you don't need this anymore. I think we did a pretty good job, except we have a little bit of white left over here. So just zoom it here. And let's erase that part. So press E on your keyboard to bring up the eraser tool. Click and drag and erase that. Easy enough. Okay. Now we need to size this down. So bring up the free transform tool. Control T or Command G on the Mac. And click on this link icon to maintain aspect ratio. And then size this down. Just scrub to the left, like so. Rotate that. Place it around here. Size it down even more. Something like that. And accept the changes. Let's also add a bit of drop shadow. Again, uncheck the use global light. 100% opacity. Small distance of 1 and size of 3. Click OK. And also let's rename this to envelope. Hit enter, return. Control is to save, Command is to save on the Mac. Alright, let's bring up some more elements in our composition. So go to the file menu, and inside the scrapbooking folder, open up the soldier. Again, we're going to do something very similar. Let's put a general selection around the picture, inverse our selection, use the refine edge command, smooth the edges, up the contrast a bit, and contract our selection. For the output, I'm going to keep it to default as is to selection. Click OK, edit, cut, edit, paste. Okay, we don't need this file anymore. Let's go to the file menu and open up the vintage frame set. Just click and drag up, hover over, and just drop it here. Let's resize the soldier. So Control T or Command G on the Mac for the free transform tool. And if you want to do this manually using the mouse, hold down the Alt and Shift or Option Shift on the Mac. Hit enter, return, like so. Now we're going to merge those two layers. So go to the flyout menu right here and select merge layers. Let's rename that to frame. And let's size this down. Control T or Command T on the Mac for the free transform tool. Alt Shift, Option Shift on the Mac. Size it down even more. Rotate that a bit. Place it around here. Hit enter, return. Go back to the layer menu, layer style, drop shadow. Same story. Uncheck use global light. Bring the distance down a bit and click OK. Control is to save, Command is to save on the Mac. Now let's create the handwritten letter, and for that go up to the file menu and inside the scrapbooking folder open up the paper file. Again, we're going to go through a very similar process to extract the paper from its background. So I'm going to use the magic wand tool and I'm going to click once to select the background. And as you can see here at the bottom, we need to expand our selection. And we can continue using the same tool, but instead go up to the select menu and choose similar. That selects similar colors because the background, as you can see, is predominantly white. Okay. Alright, now let's go back to the select menu and inverse our selection to just select the paper itself. And then up in the options bar, use the refine edge to smooth out the edges, up the contrast, and contract the selection a bit, like so, and click OK. edit menu, cut this, back to the scrapbooking PSD file, edit, paste. Now you don't need this paper JPEG anymore, so just close it up, don't save it. And let me zoom here a bit. And as you can see, we got some leftovers. So the way I'm going to clean this up, I'm going to use the eraser tool. So press E on your keyboard and then click and drag or hold down the Shift key to clean this up. Then release the mouse and just clean up the rest. No need to be too picky here. Okay, something like that. Now double click the zoom tool to zoom in 100%. Control T or Command to the Mac to bring up the free transform tool. Right click, flip this horizontally, move it to the right side, rotate it, and kind of place it in the middle of the envelope because this is the letter inside. So now we need two sizes down. So Alt Shift, Option Shift of the Mac, sizes down a bit, like so. Move it to the left side, rotate this, place it there, and accept the changes. Okay. Now we need to add some text to it, and for that I'm going to use the Type tool to confine the text to a specific width. With the Type tool selected, create a paragraph type, so click and drag, and confine the text to specific width, and the specific width basically is going to be this paper. Okay, something like that. Now we need to add some text. I have already written some words for you, so open up the scrapbooking folder, and inside the folder you're going to see this text file, letter words. Open that up, select all, edit copy, close that up, minimize this, and then edit, paste. Okay, so now let's work on this typography and edit the type. First we're going to pick another font family, a more appropriate font, a handwritten font, and then work on resizing it. So back in the layers palette, double click on the layer thumbnail to select all the type, and then up in the options bar I'm going to click on this drop down menu and select one of the handwritten fonts that I have installed in my system, like so. Now I'm going to reduce the font size, and I can do this again from the options bar right here and click on this drop down menu and choose one of these point sizes. Or I can go to the character palette and do the same from this drop down menu. Even better, we can use our keyboard shortcut, and for that use Control Shift less than or Command Shift less than on the Mac. And when you do that, when you use your keyboard shortcuts, you are decreasing the font size by increments of 2 points, and you'll be able to see that once we use the keyboard shortcuts up here or right here in the character palette. So Control Shift or Command Shift less than to decrease the font size. Okay, again we're doing it by increments of 2 points. And if you want to do the opposite, you can use Control Shift greater than or Command Shift greater than on the Mac on your keyboard. Again, we are doing so by increments of 2 points. Okay, so let's reduce that. And then let's work on the leading, which is basically the vertical space between lines of type. And I'm talking about this space here, here, and here. Okay, so the keyboard shortcut for that is Alt up arrow or Option up arrow on the Mac. And again, we are going by increments of 2 points, and you will be able to see this right here. So Alt up arrow or Option up arrow on the Mac to reduce the leading. Okay, like so. Now if you wanted to do the opposite and you want to increase the leading space, use Alt down arrow or Option down arrow on the Mac, like so. Okay, alright, let's see what we've done. Click on the Move tool. Now Control T or Command to the Mac to bring up the free transform tool. Rotate this a bit. Just move it and place it around here, and then accept the changes. And let's even further work on the type, so double click on the layer thumbnail, and actually let's reduce the leading, so that will be Alt up arrow or Option up arrow, like so. Okay, accept the changes again. And the last thing I want to do on this type, actually, I want to change the size of the text block. So with the type tool selected, just click inside anywhere and you will get these handles which appear all around. So just click and drag and do the same here at the bottom. Then accept the changes, go to the move tool and just place it around here. Okay, alright. Now let's rename this layer 2, call it letter, and also let's add a drop shadow to the letter, and that will be back on the layer menu, layer style, drop shadow, and uncheck use global light. Let's move this interactive around here. For distance I'm going to use something very small, 1 pixel, in size also 1 pixel. Click OK. Control is to save, Command is to save on the Mac. Now let's work in adding the paperclip, and there are a couple of ways to go about this. You can either use the pen tool, draw a path and fill the path with color, or even better, you can use the custom shape tool, which is nested with Photoshop's other shape tools. Now by default, the rectangular tool is the tools that is displayed, but if you click and hold your mouse down, then this flat menu appears and the custom shape tool is at the bottom of the list, like so. Now go up in the options bar right here and open up the custom shape picker. Click on that and then click in the upper right hand corner right here to open up the shape picker flat menu. Click on that, and from there you want to load some shapes. In this case I'm going to load the objects shapes. Then click append, scroll down the list and select the paperclip. Now what you want to do is you want to click and drag to draw one, like so. Okay, now click and drag this up on the top of the layer stack, double click to give it a color. I'm just going to give it white here, and the goal here to actually make this look like it clips the paper. So what we need to do is we need to erase some of this. Press E on your keyboard, and once you do that you notice that the eraser tool is disabled, and that's because this layer is a shape layer, which is a vector based layer, and we can't really paint or erase until it is rasterized. Now once the layer is rasterized, it becomes a bitmapped image, and the layer thumbnail will be converted into a normal layer. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to the layer menu and scroll down a bit till you find rasterize and then choose shape. Now let's zoom in, press E on your keyboard and then start erasing some of this. Okay, like so. Double click the zoom tool to zoom 100%. And now let's add some layer style to it, so we'll give it a bit of volume. So go back to the layer menu, layer style, and we're going to start with bevel and emboss. And I'm going to up the depth a bit, and of course I'm looking interactively at what I'm doing there. Okay, so like 100 something percent, 180% or so. Let's add a stroke. Of course you want to have a very small stroke, and you want to have bring down the opacity like so. And then for satin, just click and select. I'm going to use the same color as the background. I'm going to click OK, and then click OK again. Zoom in, because as you can see we have some leftovers, pixel leftovers. So press the E key again for the eraser tool and just erase those extra pixels. Double click to zoom out 100%. Control T or Command T on the Mac to bring up the free transform tool. Rotate this a bit, accept the changes, place it around here. I can actually zoom in even more. Press the E key, just erase it right there. Double click to zoom at 100%. And let's rename this and call this Paperclip. Hit Enter and Return. Control is to save, Command is to save on the Mac. Now let's bring the leaf into our composition. So go up to the File menu and inside the Scrapbooking folder, open up the leaf file. Again, we're going to be doing something similar. We're going to be extracting the leaf from its background. And once again, we're going to be using the Magic Wand tool. Click on that. With tolerance of 32, click once on the background to select it. Then go up to the Select menu and inverse your selection so you only select the leaf. Then we're going to use the Refine Edge command again. We're going to smooth out the edges a bit, up the contrast, and then contract the selection. And for output, just make sure you use Layer Mask so we can further edit that. Click OK. Use the Move tool, and then click and drag and hover over the Scrapbooking PSD file and just drop it here. Now you can close that up, you don't need this anymore. And as you can see, we have a little bit more cleanup to do. So I'm going to make some of these layers invisible and to make sure that this new layer is against the solid background so I can see what I'm doing. And the goal here is to do some more cleanup. For that, I'm going to target the layer mask. I'm going to make sure that I have black and white for the default colors, and if you don't, press D on your keyboard. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to press B for the brush. I'm going to size up my brush a bit. And just to refresh your memory, painting with black will block pixels and painting with white will reveal pixels. In this case, we want to block these pixels. So start painting with black. Again, don't forget, this is non-destructive. You can see here and do this all day with just blocking or revealing pixels. And that's the beauty of using layer masks. So I'm just going to do some cleanup. Okay. B again, I'm going to size down my brush since this is a very smaller area. Like so. Okay. Let's go to this side here. Again, I'm doing like a general cleanup. Not trying to be extremely picky. No need for that. Maybe a bit here too. And definitely here. Like so. Okay. I need some here. Okay, let's zoom out 100% here. Make the rest of the layers visible. We're going to size this down. Control T or Command T on the Mac to bring up the free transform tool. Alt Shift, Option Shift on the Mac. Size this down. Rotate. Place it around here. Even rotate a bit more. Okay. Accept the changes. And as you can see, we have some pixels left over since we contracted our selection. Again, I'm going to make these layers invisible. So let's see what I'm doing with against the solid background. So press E on your keyboard to bring up the erase tool. Just make sure you're on the layer thumbnail and then clean this up. Like so. Okay, make the rest of the layers visible. Let's add a bit of depth here. So I'm going to go back to the layer menu, layer styles, and just going to use a very small shadow, drop shadow, distance of 1, size of 1. Click OK. Double click to rename this, and that will be the leaf. Hit enter, return, and drag this under the frame like so. Okay. Control is to save, Command is to save on the Mac. Now let's bring the pair of glasses to our composition. So go up to the File menu and inside the Scrapbooking folder, open up the glasses. Again, we're going to be doing something very similar. We're going to be extracting the glasses from its background. But in this particular example, I'm not going to be using the Magic Wand tool or the Quick Selection tool, rather than another selection technique that is based on creating a selection from a channel that comprises the overall image. So what you want to do is you want to go to the Channels panel and inspect each of the channels separately and see which one gives you the highest contrast to work with. In other words, you want to see which channel gives you the best black and white image. So let's start first with the red channel. And as you can see, the red channel is a little bit washed out, not too much contrast. Let's move to the green channel. Green appears to have a bit more contrast compared to the red channel. And lastly, the blue channel seems to have more contrast between the background and the pair of glasses. So I'm going to be using this channel. This channel is not perfect, and to make it work for us, we need to enhance the contrast, but not directly on that channel, rather than a copy of it, so we don't alter the original image. We need to duplicate this channel, so click and drag this to the new channel icon, and we're going to be working off this blue copy. Now the goal here is for the background to be white and the frame of the pair of glasses to be black. Go up to the Image menu, Adjustments, and bring up the levels. Now you want to bring in the highlights, so we make the whites brighter, like so. And you want to bring in the shadows, so we make the blacks darker, like so. Okay, click OK. Now let's clean this up and make the frame of the glasses completely black and the rest white. So you want to zoom in here and you want to start with the brush, so press B on your keyboard. Make sure you have a very hard brush, 100%, opacity 100%, and everything 100%. I'm going to size this up and I'm going to make sure that I start painting with white, so foreground white, and start cleaning this up. This is kind of tedious here, but this pair of glasses it's a little bit more complicated than selecting the book. So this technique should work pretty good selecting the glasses. Okay. So let's zoom here. B for brush, size this down. Like so. Let's see, let's zoom out 100%. I can improve on this area here a bit. Okay, so let's say I like what I see here, right? Now we need to do the opposite. We need to paint with black whatever we want to select from the frame. So make sure for foreground you have black, so press X on your keyboard to bring up the black color for the foreground and start painting with black. Okay, now zoom in here. Be careful, this is a very sensitive area. So B for the brush, size down the brush and paint. Now because I'm using the mouse here, I'm clicking and releasing the mouse and I'm painting again. You can do this with one go. It will be better if I had a tablet, but right now I'm using a mouse. So that will do the trick anyway. A little bit here, definitely here. Get those guys too. Let's zoom out a bit. Cover those pixels too as well. This one here too. Nice and slow here, like so. And I'm just looking all around to see if I can improve anything, maybe here too. Okay, this one might be a little tricky. Press X, let's go paint it with white here. Here it's a little bit uneven, so press X, paint with black, and bring some of this back. Here I'm going to paint with white. And I know this is not going to be perfect here, but anyway, we'll fix that later. And I think lastly we got this part over here. Okay, let's zoom out. Now we need to go back to the channels panel. We're going to bring back the RGB composite, and then what we want to do is we need to create a selection based on the blue copy channel. Go over here to the blue copy channel, hold down the Control key or the Command key on the Mac, and create a selection based on that channel. As you can see, we did a fairly good job. Now you're going to go to the Select menu, inverse the selection, and then go back to the Select menu and use the Refine Edge command. Okay, again, we're going to smooth out the edges a bit. We're going to up the contrast, and for the Shift Edge, instead of contracting, I'm going to expand the selection a bit, like so. Okay, and of course for the output, let's make sure we have layer mask, so we'll be able to further enhance our selection. Click OK, and now you want to click and drag this up to the scrapbook and PSD file, and you want to drop it here. Go to layers, click and drag this all the way up, and it seems that we did a fairly good job. So Control T or Command T on the Mac to size this down. Alt Shift, Option Shift, rotate, place it around here, size it down even more. Like so, and then accept the changes. Now we still have these leftover pixels, so I'm going to make those layers invisible, and then I'm going to target the layer thumbnail. I'm going to press E on my keyboard to bring up the eraser tool and make sure I delete those leftover pixels permanently. Okay. Alright, make those layers again visible, and let's go to the layer menu, layer style. Let's add a drop shadow to it, and I'm going to use like a small distance of 2, size of 3, and then I want to have this glass frame to have kind of a similar color as the overall color of the composition. So I'm going to go to the color overlay. I'm going for the color here. I'm just click once and pick this color, sample that color, And then for the blend mode, you want to go to use one of the darken modes. I'm going to use the multiplied mode and fill the opacity because this is a bit too strong. I'm going to bring this down. Like so, and click OK. Alright. Now if you think that you made a mistake and you want to improve this a little bit, for example to bring some of this frame back, what you do is you make sure that you are on the layer mask. Let's zoom in. Well, I did a pretty good job actually, but let's see, maybe we can improve a little bit here or a little bit here. So make sure you're on the layer mask, B for brush, make sure you have a small brush size, and now you want to also have a white color. Now white will reveal pixels and black will block pixels. So carefully paint around here if you need to. Okay. Do the same thing here and it will bring some of these pixels back. Now I'm going to reverse this, press X and paint with black to block some of these pixels. So you want to be careful. Actually we did a pretty good job here. Just want to show you that if I want to bring some of this back, that's how I'm going to be doing it. Okay. Zoom out. Okay, double click here. And let's rename this glasses. Hit enter, return. Control is to save, commands to save on the Mac. To make this book look even more used, we're going to bring in the gutter. And the gutter is the place where two pages are attached to the spine. And I'm talking about this space right here, which we're going to enhance. So go to the File menu, and inside the Scrapbooking folder, open up the book gutter. Okay, you want to bring this inside the Scrapbooking PSD file, and just place it there. Okay. Control T or Command T to bring in the free transform tool. Alt Shift Option Shift to size this down, like so, and then right click to flip this vertically, and then accept the changes. Use your down arrow key to move this a bit, and then let's trim the bottom, and for that I'm going to use the rectangular marquee tool. Click and drag to draw a marquee selection, and then press delete on your keyboard. Select, deselect. Okay, now we need to blend this. We need to blend the gutter so it looks part of the book, and for that I'm going to use one of the blend modes. Now the blend modes can be found right here in the layers palette. Clicking on the blend mode pop-up, it will reveal a list of blend mode options, which we can either choose one of these here, or we can actually use our keyboard shortcut. Now if you are on a Windows machine as I am, and you want to exit the blend modes, you need to press escape on your keyboard, like so. Okay, now let's cycle through the blend modes using the keyboard shortcut, and just pay attention to the blend modes right here. So the shortcut is Shift plus will change to the next blend mode. Shift minus will change to the previous mode. Okay, so let's see which blend mode I can use. Shift plus, and actually the darken blend mode is a good blend mode to use. Now let's go back with Shift minus back to the normal blend mode. Each of these blend modes actually have a direct shortcut, and the darken blend mode, the direct shortcut for the darken blend mode is Alt Shift K, Option Shift K. Now if you're going to go back to the normal blend mode, the direct shortcut is Alt Shift N for normal, Option Shift N on the Mac. So let's go back again to the darken. That will be Alt Shift K, Option Shift K. Okay, now let's make those layers invisible, and I want to hide some of these pixels here. That is part of the book gutter. So I'm going to go to the layer menu and add a layer mask for that, and I'm going to reveal everything. Now remember, white reveals, black conceals. So what you want to do is you're going to bring in your brush, and you're going to start painting with black. Now this time make sure you have just a softer brush, like so, and then start painting with black to block some of these pixels. You're not deleting anything, you're just blocking. This layer mask, So you can always go back and paint with white and reveal those pixels back again. Okay, like so. Alright, let's make those layers visible again. Let's click and drag this under the envelope. Let's move this, just make sure you're on the move tool. Like so. Maybe I can clean this up even here. Just those pixels, or maybe I can move them down. Like so. Okay. Alright, let's rename this. And that will be book gutter. Hit enter, return. Control is to save. Command is to save on the Mac. Now let's bring in the last texture element to make the composition grungier and finalize it. Go up to the File menu and inside the Scrapbooking folder, open up the wood floor. Now the aim here is to use some parts of this image and not the whole texture. So we are going to convert this color image to high contrast black and white with no shades of gray. Go up to the Image menu, Adjustments, and bring up the threshold. Now we are going to reduce the threshold level and increase the lightest areas of the image by adjusting the slider so the white areas will become transparent. Like so. Click OK. Now we're going to define this as a brush preset. So go to the Edit menu, Define Brush Preset, and then click OK. Now, by the way, the size of the brush we just created is 800 pixels. And how do I know this? If you go up to the Image menu, then Image Size, the width of the wood floor is 800 pixels. And so the brush we just defined will be the same size. Okay. Let's just keep that in mind. You can close that up. You don't need this anymore. Now, make sure you click on the book. So we are on the book layer. Create a new layer, press the B key and go up to the brush preset picker, scroll down, and this should be the last brush is on the list. Is this one, the one we just created? That's the wood floor. Click once to select it, and here's the size, 800 pixels. Okay. Now as you can see, this is quite big, so we need to resize the size of the brush. So tap the left bracket key, like so, and just stamp once. Okay, press V on your keyboard for the move tool. Now Control T or Command T on the Mac, right click and flip this horizontally and then accept the changes. Now what we need to do is we need to clip this wood floor to the book. So first let's rename this. That will be wood floor. Hit enter, return. And in order to clip this to the book, there are a couple of ways you can do this. You can go to the layer menu and then choose create clipping mask, or let's undo this, Control Z or Command G on the Mac. You can just place the mouse right here in the middle and press the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac, hold this down and just click once, and now the wood floor is clipped to the book. Okay. Now for this wood floor layer to blend with the book, we're going to use one of these blend modes here, and I'm going to be using the soft light, which belongs to the contrast family. Now even better, let's actually use the direct keyboard shortcut. So if you're on the Windows, make sure that you press Escape if you want to exit the blend modes, and the direct shortcut is Alt Shift F or Option Shift F on the Mac. Okay. Now let's add a layer mask, reveal all. Okay, make sure you're on the mask. Press B on your keyboard to bring out the brush. Let's pick another brush, a soft one this time. Let's size this down like so. I'm going to paint with black, so make sure you have, for foreground color, you have black to block pixels, and just soften up the edges. Okay. Alright. Now what else do we have? we're going to bring a couple of more textures. We're going to bring some coffee stains. So go up to the file menu, open, and bring those two coffee stains. Hold down the shift key and open. First I'm going to start with this one. Select all, edit copy, click on the book, and then edit paste. Okay, this is clipped already. So double click, rename this coffee stains, hit enter return, and let's also use the multiplied blend mode, and the direct shortcut is Alt Shift M for multiply or Option Shift M on the Mac. Okay, let's move this a bit lower here, like so, and you can close that up, open this one, select all, edit copy, click on the envelope, edit paste. You can close that up, we don't need this anymore. And let's clip this one. So Alt, Option, put your mouse right here in the middle and click once, double click, let's rename this coffee stains, hit enter return, and let's use the same blend mode, multiply, Alt Shift M, Option Shift M on the Mac, and let's see, let's size this down just a bit. Control T, Command T on the Mac, Alt Shift, Option Shift, like so. I also have this coffee stain out there. Let me rotate this just a bit. There you go. And if you think that's a bit too strong, we can also lower the opacity. So you can go to the layers palette here, use your keyboard shortcuts, your numeric keyboard. Let's say I want to go down to 80%. So press 8 on your keyboard, and that will become 80, like so, or 6 for 60, and you get the idea. So let's say 60. Let's click on this one. I have 100. Let's go to 80 or maybe 60. Back to 80. Just trial and error basically, okay? Or now, click on the book, okay? Actually, I'm going to duplicate this book here to have a copy of it. And I'm going to make this invisible. Let's also make sure that this is clipped, and also this is clipped as well. And the reason I'm doing this, the reason I'm making a book copy, is because I want to burn this book. And if I made a mistake, I can always go back to the original layer. So go to the burn tool, use the burn tool, range, you can use shadows, and exposure 50%. And just click and burn the book so it looks older actually. Now click on paint, release the mouse, and continue doing this like so. Burn it here too, here up as well. Okay, so it looks older. Alright, now let's go up to the file menu and bring one more thing, the wooden texture. Okay, select all, edit, copy, you can close that up, scroll down, click on the layer one, edit, paste. Now you don't need this layer one actually. This is gonna be wooden texture, hit enter return, and it's a bit too strong, so let's take some of these colors off. So I'm going to go to the layer menu, new adjustment layer, and I'm going to bring up the hue saturation. Click OK, click on the drop down menu, select the reds, and desaturate the reds quite a bit, like so. Okay. Alright, let's also go to the layer menu, new adjustment layer, photo filter, click OK. From the drop down menu, choose blue, up the density a bit. You can close that up, click and drag this below the hue saturation, and this is kind of look and feel that I'm looking for. So the key creating a digital scrapbooking story is to collect the right materials, photos that bring memories, texture papers, background textures, finding the right font, and of course a source of inspiration. I highly recommend asking others, as I did, to contribute to your digital composition. People are willing to share their experience when you're missing the right element. This concludes this lecture, and thank you for watching Third Element 10 tutorials.